All right, all right. I know you guys thought I probably wouldn't notice, but somewhere, somehow, this game that is not being talked about called Until Dawn is running on the PlayStation 5 at 30 FPS. Now, I've always told you guys that I will play a game at 30 FPS if I want to, even though I have PC builds that are pretty much, home supercomputers, Xbox Super Series X or PC Pro, depending on how you want to put it. But I want to go back to some conversations that I had a while ago. When Gotham Knights came out, I remember getting dragged on the internet for saying that 30 FPS was fine because every game is individual to its specific mechanics or the way that it's been developed. And I'm so surprised that nobody is actually talking about this game, number one. And I'm so surprised that nobody is actually, in a sense, outraged about this game. Because I can put like two other games in that category that have gotten flamed lately, which will be one, Starfield, and number two, Monster Hunter Wilds, which these games are going to play at 30 FPS on console. Starfield, the developers eventually, said, okay, we're going to do a little bit more work and we're going to get this game to 60 FPS to you. What's been beautiful about this too is it's actually opened up the conversation for game development. I've had a lot of people try to drag me online and say, you don't know anything about game development and so on and so forth. I do have limited knowledge about game development. I would admit that to you. However, I've blown like 4 years of my life learning the darn thing. So maybe with 4 years, there's a thing or two that I can add to this conversation. And believe you me, I learned game development for two reasons. I learned, number one, to be able to make sure my YouTube content is coming from a place with a bit more technical knowledge than any other YouTuber. Believe you me, I was looking at the YouTube landscape and I was like, what am I missing? And I was like, the only thing you're missing is good context as to how games are built. And once I started learning, like 40% of the videos I'd actually made referencing anything about game development were simply wrong. Just straight up wrong. Like I was misunderstood for all those years. I'm not saying anybody needs to go learn anything about game development. However, it'd be nice if there's an area of game development that, have a little bit of, say, adamancy to, apathy to, or, confusion about, that you more than likely take some time to go ahead and, establish yourself in those particular areas and give yourself a little bit of an edge in knowledge, because it will really help you in your purchasing decisions. You'll know exactly why many people do not play on console. You'll know why many people move from console to PC. You'll just be so well versed and you'll be such a better consumer. Your money will feel better spent every given time. Let me give you an example. I walked into GameStop yesterday. I was going to buy MLB The Show. I've been looking at that game and I was like, okay, maybe it's time for me to learn a bit of baseball. I've lived in America for many years and I do not understand the game of baseball, freaking baseball. So I walked in, I said, let me get MLB The Show. I just walked to the guy. I said, hey man, do y'all have like an old copy of MLB The Show? They were like, yeah, we do. I mean, what do you want? What we have 2020. What was it? Hold on. Let me look at my case over here. MLB The Show 2020 got a PS4 version. So I was like, yeah, I'll take that. Because I wanted to play it this weekend. I didn't want to wait too long. I had also ordered 2021 on the Xbox, but it's not going to be here for a while. So I was like, man, that's not going to give me good context. Plus, I want to make some videos about it with exclusivity. Y'all know how I feel about exclusivity. So I took that copy, and as I was about to leave, I looked, and they had in their shelves some CPUs. And I was like, what CPU is that? And he told me the CPU name. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this CPU for about 2 years. Like I bought it one time. I was going to make another build, and then I decided not to make the build. And the CPU was marked down. I'm talking bottom dollar marked down, in my opinion anyways. I won't say bottom dollar, but, lower than it had been years back. I called my wife right there. I said, babe, I walked in here wanting to spend like 10, 15 bucks, but man, this is a good deal. I walked out of GameStop with a copy of MLB The Show 2020 and an AMD Ryzen 7 5800X 3D, because I know that I would not go give that kind of money to PlayStation or Xbox, because I know that their value proposition from the perspective of just having developed games is just not good enough for me and for every dollar that I spend. So to me, price is, in a sense, going to be proportional to the performance that I'm getting. No longer am I going to sit there and allow for somebody to go ahead and sell me subpar hardware and give me a promise that is not there anymore. Once I bought the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, I was like, there's no way, I'm going to sit here and buy another console out of good conscience. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my old CPU and I'm going to build a computer for one of my younger kids. And then that's going to be their PC for doing their work, doing their homework, and also doing their games, playing their video games when we let them. They have specific days for games, and they must meet their metrics in school every week before they're able to play video games. This is a big deal for many of us gamers. Now, it may not be a big deal for most of you, but it's actually a very big deal. It's significant because these console manufacturers have basically sold a pipe dream, ladies and gentlemen. They were not forthcoming with the things that they said that their devices could do. And this is exactly where my own perspective came in, especially around the conversation with Gotham Knights. When I saw that that game was not playing at 60 FPS on a console while it was playing at 60 FPS on a PC, yes, at launch, it had stutters. It was, in a sense, poorly optimized. But once the developers knocked everything out the park and Digital Foundry did some more testing with the Ryzen 4800S, which is the CPU inside of the Series X, I was like, man, there is no way, anybody wants to go ahead and buy a console that prioritizes performance. So here's the thing. I want to go ahead and put this out here. Unless you care about performance, then when you buy a console, do not complain about performance. That's just the reality. The reason you find yourself complaining in some instances or find yourself pointing fingers when this has now come on PlayStation's own turf is simply because developers are limited in time, resources, and money. Once the game is made, they find the best way to push it out. They got to think, do we want to sit here for a 60 FPS port, or do we want to make sure that bugs and all that are fixed? Of which Until Dawn's, remake, even on PC, is still having a lot of bugs and a lot of issues. So let's make sure that these conversations are actually put out here, and let's make sure we have similar energy levels. Shout out to El Analista de Bits, who usually does these kinds of videos that will put out all the data and all the information. If you already look at these scenes, you can see exactly why the PS5 version is 30 FPS. They added more in terms of textures. There's more detail on the screen. So for the talk about the PS5 Pro and all of the above, I would argue that anyone who is looking at buying the PlayStation 5 Pro, you might be better off buying shares with Sony if you really truly believe in what the PlayStation is. Well, that's not how it really works, but you'll probably get better return on your investment than buying a PlayStation 5 Pro for $700. Believe you me, I don't think this is hardware that people want to pursue, because the hardware itself is going to eventually get locked down when push comes to shove, when another game will come out. Because it's not only PlayStation games that are going to be on that PS5 Pro that you're going to want to play. You're going to want to play something pretty cool and pretty, insane from another developer, and you'll be stuck on that system, and that game is going to be on PC, and you're going to be looking at the game going, man, this performance is just juicier than what I have on console. I mean, that's why you got a PC anyways. That's why many people go to PC, and that's why many console players are complaining about the performance of certain games on console. So at the end of the day, I'm very, very happy that we are seeing this and we're having this conversation, because this unveils what's going on. Not saying this game can't run at 60 FPS, just saying that if it did, it would have to sacrifice a lot in quality to get you that. And here we go. A PlayStation developer, well, a developer under PlayStation, I guess I should put it that way, is not willing to make those sacrifices and has decided to go what they thought was feasible. And anybody who wants to play the game at 60 FPS is going to have to raise the bar on their hardware, raise it really high. And if you think about this, could this be a CPU bottleneck? What is the issue going on here? I haven't delved in too much with the technical side. And Until Dawn is not a game I'll play. They gave it away on PS Plus years ago. I was looking through my PlayStation library as I was, playing MLB The Show, as I was installing it, on the disc. And I realized that, man, I got a lot of PlayStation games from PS Plus that I never even touched because, again, those games never really interested me. But anyways, thanks so much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. It's nice to feel vindicated. It's nice to be vindicated, not feel vindicated, because a lot of the things that we were talking about, were very true at the time. And a lot of people did not necessarily understand or misunderstood what we were saying. And it's been interesting to see things come full circle right now. Talk to me in the comment section. Appreciate y'all so much. And hopefully we can chat in another one. Peace out.